Okay, we have today 14. We're continuing the deep stuff that we were speaking yesterday in the book Tuv Haaretz, chapter 3, part 3. So it says like that: Behold, God revealed his presence to us in two ways. First, when God encloses himself in an attribute such as the Shekhinah, resting in our midst in disguise in Gentile clothing. Again, here we're speaking Kabbalistic terms. Gentile is not meant to be offensive to non-Jews or anything. It's has to do with secular. If you want to understand better, you can watch my video before the day 13 and you'll understand. In other words, as the ministering angels of the external forces by means of their spreading out in the realm of the Ophanim, Asiya. So the lower world, the lowest world is Olam Asiya. And the Shekhinah is hidden in Gentile clothing, meaning in the lowest level of physicality, or the lowest spiritual level, which is hidden in physicality, as if to say the lowest level of the soul. And it goes therefore through those angels that correspond to the world of Asiya, which is the Ophanim. Those are the external forces, and that's how God manifests himself. It's not a direct illumination. If it was direct illumination, direct presence, things will be more clear, almost like seeing miracles. But here it's more hidden in the clothings of the nature, so to speak. Therefore, one residing in Chutz La'aretz, outside the land, perceives the Creator's godliness in that fashion, in disguised. Yet, that form of perception of God is called serving foreign gods. It's like doing idolatry. For he is receiving sustenance and perception of God through those ministering angels. So because it's not direct, what it means to have serving God directly, it means I'm speaking to God. I'm not praying to someone to pray for me. I don't need a priest. I don't need a rabbi. I don't need a guru. I don't need an idol. I don't need a coach. I don't need anyone. It's me and God. I speak directly to God. Don't need an angel. That's direct. But when we are outside the land of Israel, we don't have that direct connection. It has automatically, even though I pray to God directly, that my prayer, so to speak, is taken by angels that from this world, the world that is outside of land Israel, and then it has to kind of ship it. Even with UPS or FedEx takes time. It then goes to Israel, and then from Israel it goes up, so to speak. Right? So it's not direct. You understand? That's called Avodah Zarah. It's a strange service. It's not a direct service. Idolatry means it's with an intermediary. On this is written, for they have driven me away this day from attaching myself to the heritage of God, saying, God worship the gods of others. Go worship the gods of others. That refers to the Jews living in outside the land, Chutz La'aretz, who serve idolatry in purity. So it's like we serve, even though we are pure, so to speak, for working on ourselves, those who are pure, those who work on themselves and holy, but we're serving God, so to speak, not directly. So therefore, it's as if we doing something. It's like I'm doing a mitzvah through another. So I'm doing a mitzvah, I steal money, and then I buy a nice thing, give some great money to charity. It's not proper. It's not the right way. They don't receive the divine countenance properly, for they cause the divine influence to be diverted to the external forces. So because of that, our energy here that we produce here is taken away, so to speak, like vampires, from the spiritual holy part of the world dimension. The second fashion of revelation is through the extension of the Gentile garments. So let's see what it means. In other words, for the Jews living in Israel, they would perceive the Shekhinah without any partitions, descending through the holy level, starting at the portal of Livnat HaSapir, which is one of the dimensions, world, rooms in spiritual world, all the way down to the land itself. In this fashion, the Shekhinah is not enclosed by any of the ministering angels, Rather, she could unfold and descend through the airspace of Eretz Israel. So technically, we could experience God's divine presence and see as obvious the providence being directly experienced in the land of Israel is almost like saying, oh, I saw miracles. You'll hear that much more in Israel than here, as an experience, at least from the people. There she can dwell in the pure airspace of Eretz Israel that makes wise those who inhabit her with the wisdom of King Solomon. So already just being there allows you to perceive the world and sense the world and sense God's presence on a much higher level. That is the reason that Eretz Israel is Malchut, the lowest sphere, for her airspace is the abode of the Shekhinah. For the Shekhinah cannot dwell amongst the uncircumcised. That is because she cannot unite with the external forces, represented by the foreskin, the Orla. So that when a Jew is born, we do bris milah, saying that we want to be directly connected to God. We don't want intermediary. That's why man needs to have a bris milah. If we're sleeping with his wife, there's no intermediary with that foreskin. Therefore, it is incumbent upon all those dwelling in the land to remove their foreskin in order not to defile the land. There's a famous Zohar that says the only reason why Ishmael, the Arabs, are able to live there is because of their great reward for doing circumcision, which they were commanded in the Torah, here with Abraham to Ishmael. So, therefore, that's why they're still there, and they're able to have a straight connection. We see that receiving God's countenance is directly related to living in Eretz Israel, yet living in Eretz Israel is directly dependent upon the mitzvah of Brit Milah. So living in Israel, the holier we are in sexuality, the more we merit to be in the land. It's like saying the land is like your wife. So the more you protect your sexual purity, the more you deserve to be with your wife. Malchut, again, is the feminine aspect, and therefore Israel is like that wife that we need to deserve. And if you don't behave properly, she kicks you out of the house. You cheated on me. You cheated on with other nations, with other lands. This codependence is seen from the following midrash, the verse of "For the land unto which you are arriving there to inherit." From Devarim is juxtaposed with the verse, and I shall remember my account. From these, we derive two lessons. First, that the mitzvah of Eretz Israel is equal to the mitzvah of Brit Milah. That is seen by the last verse ending with, and I shall remember the land. Zachar, it's connected to Zecher and Zachar. With male aspect. From that we deduce that just like the performance of the Brit Milah pushes aside the very pertinent prohibition of Shabbat, meaning that even on Shabbat you're allowed to do Brit Milah, nothing goes. Brit Milah you do any days of the year. This is how powerful it is, because you have to remove that part, that externality, and that you can do on Shabbat. It's like life and death on the spiritual level, so to speak. So too, the mitzvah of conquering Eretz Israel pushes aside those pertinent prohibition of Shabbat. If you have to conquer the land of Israel, then you can't even do it on Shabbat. Second, that Eretz Israel is equal to all that God created during the 6 days of creation, because the whole purpose is Malchut. The whole purpose, the last step, is the woman, meaning the goal is to get married to who? To God, but to train with the wife. That's the ultimate goal, is to be one with the seven Tachlis Shamayim Vaaretz. That's the goal of heaven and earth, is Shabbat. That is unity and love, and that's what Eretz Israel corresponds. So 6, the Vav, which is the 6 days of the week, corresponds to the male organ, that's why it's that shape. And Malchut is Shabbat, which is the 7th day, which is why the woman goes 7 times around the man in Ashkenaz wedding. She represents the female, the Malchut, the vessel that receive the 6 days, the Vav letter, which represents the male. A hint of this can be derived from the last letter of the various names of Eretz Israel, spelling Milah. The various names of Eretz Israel, spelling Milah. Oh, you see, because it says namely, so it says Eretz Chaim with Mem at the end, Eretz Hatzvi with Yud, Eretz Israel, Lamed, Eretz Hakdosha. So Chaim, Hatzvi, Israel, Hakdosha, each one, the last letter spells Milah. So we know there's a direct connection between the land and the Brit Milah. This concept is also hinted at in the following verse. Behold, the righteous person is completed in the land. For he who guards and keeps his Brit sanctified is called a tzaddik. For he stands up to temptation, as did Yosef the tzaddik. Yet nonetheless, that tzaddik is not complete until he reaches Eretz Israel and settles there. It's like I'm ready for my wife, I'm engaged, but I have, until I move there, until I move into the house with my wife, I'm not really married as a tzaddik. That is the mystery of the tzaddik in the land. Meaning that when the tzaddik is dwelling in the land, then he will be complete. That is why the first letter of those words spell Hatzvi, to indicate to us that it is only in the land of Hatzvi, the land of loveliness. Hatzvi is like loveliness. Eretz Israel, that's that land, the land of loveliness, that he can become complete. We say I can become complete. I need my wife. I need my land. I need my God. It's all connected. I need my Torah. We married to the Torah. We need to marry the land. It has to be for us like that, so clear. The same way I need to get married. The same way I need to be one with God. The same way I need to be one with my land of Israel. It's all connected. There's no Eretz Israel. There's no Torah. I need to marry the Torah. Shabuot is the marriage of the Torah with the Torah. So we have to understand that it's all connected. Okay? So unless I understand that, I don't, it's like, if I don't go to Eretz Israel, it's like I don't get married. If I don't get married, it's like I don't go to Eretz Israel. If I don't go to Eretz Israel or I don't get married, it's like I don't become one with God. If I don't do any of those, it's like I'm not becoming one with the Torah. So they're all connected, we understand. Torah, wife, Eretz Israel, and HaShem. Okay? That's, we have to marry. Without all those four, it's all 4 different levels, 4 different dimensions, and that's the only way to be truly one with God. Yet, that perception is incomplete for also perceiving God is dependent upon the guarding of the Brit Milah and keeping holy, even when living in Eretz Israel. Yet, that perception is incomplete, for there are many garments veiling him there. The reason why the Shekhinah went into exile with the Jews is in the merit of the Brit Milah, as is hinted to the verses in Bereshit, where he says to Abraham, I will ratify my covenant between you and me and you, and between your offspring after you, throughout their generation, as an everlasting covenant, to be a God for you and your offsprings after you. And I shall give you and your offspring after you the land of your sojourns, the whole of the land of Canaan, as an everlasting possession, and I shall be a God for them. So by being there, he became a God for us. Until we're all there, he cannot be a God for us. God said to Abraham, and as for you, you shall keep my covenant, and you and your offspring throughout their generation. This is the covenant which you shall keep between me and you of your offspring after you. Every male among you shall be circumcised. So we see that directly in Bereshit, Genesis 17:8, we have a direct connection with the land and the sexual morality, purity. So we understand that being in Israel means we love God. We understand that we're speaking about the desire. We need to have a desire for the land. We need to have a desire for God. That's what God wants the most. He wants our heart. He wants our desire. So sexual desire is the strongest. So we have to direct it in the right direction, like any of our desires. But we have to understand that, especially the land of Israel, we have to be crazy in love with the land of Israel, like you're crazy with a woman. That's really what it's saying. And unless we understand that, then we are gonna keep being rerouted in the wrong direction. Now it's time. Moshiach is coming. It's time to move to the land. It's a time to get to fall in love with God, to fall in love with the land, to fall in love with your wife, with your spouse, to fall in love with the Torah, because that's what it's all about. Baruch Adonai L'olam, Amen ve'Amen.